So welcome to Jumbo IS and welcome to our lecture series called Daily MCQ Practice. In this lecture series, we cover a particular day's current affairs through a set of 4 to 5 MCQs. The purpose behind this lecture series is twofold. Number one, we want you to revise your current affairs, and what better way to revise your current affairs than by getting the much needed MCQ practice? Because this MCQ practice would come in really handy for your prelims examination. Because prelims examination is all about MCQs, and current affairs form a very important portion of prelims examination. Around 40 to 50% of the MCQs asked in prelims examination are directly or indirectly related to current affairs. Therefore, you need this lecture series, because if you'll make this lecture series a part of your daily routine, then these 4 to 5 MCQs would add up to more than 1200 MCQs, that too from the topic of current affairs alone. That's it, current affairs alone. You'll be practicing MCQs from other topics as well, but 1200 MCQs from the topic of current affairs alone are more than sufficient. So make this a daily habit of yours. And with that promise, let's start today's discussion with question number 1. Consider the following statements regarding Jevons paradox. It is an economic theory given in 1865 which states that improved technological efficiency in resource extraction increases the consumption of that resource. This theory was given during 19th century to explain the consumption of coal. With the disruption caused by DeepSeek AI, experts are applying Jevons paradox to AI chips. Okay, how many of the above statements are correct? Now, Jevons paradox was given in 1865 by William Jevons. Okay, now what this paradox says, I'll explain with an example. Okay, let's talk about petrol. Okay, now earlier cars gave very less average on petrol. Okay, earlier cars were based on old technology, and the mileage given by these cars was, let's suppose, 6 kilometers per liter of petrol. This was the average. Okay. Now, as these cars improved, their technology improved. Now they were giving 20 kilometers per liter. That means because of technological progress, fuel efficiency increased. Now you require less fuel to travel the same distance. Now, because of that, people thought, people thought that fuel consumption would decline, because with less fuel you can travel more now, so you don't require that much fuel. Okay, so fuel consumption would decline because of improvement in technology. But Jevons paradox says that no, in fact the opposite happens. Because technology has improved, fuel has become more efficient and fuel has become more cheap. Okay, by cheap I mean that earlier, to travel 20 kilometers you had to pay for 1 liter, to travel 6 kilometers you had to pay for 1 liter petrol. Now to travel 20 kilometers you need to pay for 1 liter petrol, right? So your cost should come down. But this decline in cost increases consumption manifold. People thought that fuel consumption would decline, but because of decline in costs, because of technological improvement, decline in these costs actually increased consumption. People consumed fuel more and more. Okay, this is known as Jevons paradox. Now, William Jevons used this concept to explain coal consumption during 19th century. But this paradox was used to explain rise in fuel consumption. Okay, petrol diesel consumption during 1970s in USA and Europe. Okay, and currently this concept is being to used for AI. Because you see, AI runs on these chips called graphics processing units. Okay, now these graphics processing units are very expensive and they are a scarce resource. But with the entry of DeepSeek AI, Chinese startup, this Chinese startup has shown that you do not require that many GPUs to run a successful, very big, huge, efficient model. So DeepSeek AI has beaten ChatGPT and OpenAI in use of these GPUs, as far as use of these GPUs are concerned, or efficient use of these GPUs are concerned. DeepSeek AI has produced better AI model with very few GPUs. Okay, much like fuel. Okay, much like these cars. Now people say that this might reduce the demand for GPUs because now you need few GPUs to run better AI models. But no, Jevons paradox says that now demand for GPUs would increase manifold, because these AI models have become cheap, and because these AI models have become now cheap because of technological progress, now more and more people would use these AI models and GPUs would be consumed more. Okay, this is Jevons paradox. So first statement is correct, second statement is correct, third statement is correct. All three statements are correct. All right. Question number 2. Which of the following statements are correct regarding household consumption expenditure survey? It is designed to collect information on consumption and expenditure of households on goods and services. It is conducted by RBI and is used in the updation of consumer price index. Now, household consumption expenditure survey is very rightly used to collect information on consumption and expenditure of households. This survey is done to check for or to gather data on monthly expenditure of average households in India. Okay, so what is the monthly expenditure of average households in India? On what items are people spending more these days? Are these items food items, processed food items, luxury items, and whatnot? Okay, so this is the data that is gathered by HCES. Okay, so first statement is correct. Now, HCES, this survey is used to update consumer price index because consumer price index actually measures inflation for average households. Okay, but if we do not know what average households consume, we won't be able to calculate their inflation. Okay, because we need to track prices of those things which are consumed by average households. That's what consumer price index tracks, right? So to update consumer price index, you need data from HCES. Okay, so this part is correct. But HCES is not conducted by RBI. It is conducted by National Statistical Office, which is under Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. So this statement is false. Only one is correct. Question 3. Consider the following statements regarding beggar thy neighbor policy. These are economic policies that always result in trade surplus for a country. These policies trigger trade and currency wars and are counterproductive in the long run. Policies like these can be harmful for growth in global trade. Now look, let's suppose there is this country called USA and there is this country called China. Well, why suppose? These are the countries, two major countries of the world. Now, the thing is that USA is worried about China. And why USA is worried about China? USA says that China sells US more goods than it buys from US. Okay, so USA imports more than it exports to China. And this has led to trade deficit with China, which is harmful for US, right? So USA wants to convert this trade deficit to trade surplus. That means it wants to export more than it wants to import. Okay. For that, what USA is doing is USA is imposing taxes on imports from China. Okay. USA is imposing tariffs on imports from China. Because now, after these taxes, Chinese goods in USA would become expensive because taxes are levied by USA. And because they'll become expensive, less people are going to buy Chinese goods. So imports from China would decline. Okay. Plus, USA is also taking all sorts of actions against China so that Chinese exports decline. So the purpose over here is to reduce Chinese exports. Now, this would be a loss-making thing for China. Okay. This would generate heavy losses for China. And this policy of USA is known as beggar thy neighbor, to make thy neighbor beggar. Okay. Reduce their economic prosperity. Clear? Now, these are economic policies that this is a form of economic policy that is being utilized by USA. Okay, currently Donald Trump's administration is employing these policies. Okay, and the purpose is again to make this trade deficit into trade surplus with China. The purpose is this, but the first statement is these are economic policies that always result in trade surplus. Though they are aimed at generating trade surplus, they do not always generate trade surplus. The result aim is different, but the result can be quite the opposite. Why? Because if USA is imposing these tariffs on China, China will retaliate back. Okay, and China will impose tariffs on American imports into China. This would reduce America's exports to China. Yes, so this trade deficit that was being tried to convert into, or that was being or this action of USA which was trying to convert this trade deficit to trade surplus might not happen because China is also going to retaliate to reduce American exports to China. Okay, so it doesn't always result in trade surplus. In fact, This is pretty counterproductive in the long run because both these economies would impose restrictions against each other. So import export between the two would decline. Importers exporters in both these countries would bear losses. So this action by USA to beggar China would result in Chinese actions to beggar USA, and both of them will become beggar or lose on economic prosperity. Okay, these policies trigger trade wars, currency wars, and are counterproductive in the long run. Why are we calling them counterproductive in the long run? Well, because both of them will lose out. So this part is correct. Okay, now if all the countries employ these policies, okay, this would significantly hamper global trade because imports and exports from all these countries would decline, and countries would be more inward looking rather than internationally looking. Okay, or the countries would be more focused on their domestic economies rather than focusing on global economies, right? So this part is also correct. D. And last, consider the following statements regarding national emblem of India. It is inspired from lion capital of an Ashokan pillar of Sanchi. The phrase Satyamev Jayate is taken from Puranic literature. Unauthorized usage of national emblem can attract pecuniary fine but not imprisonment. Okay. Which of the above statements are not correct? Not correct is asked. Please notice this. Okay. Now you must have seen national emblem of India: 4 lions, 3 in front, 1 in back. Then below that there is this Ashokan Chakra or Ashok Chakra, a wheel with 24 spokes. Which this wheel, this symbol is also seen in our national flag, right? And there are 4 animals below these lions. Okay. Now this national emblem is inspired from an Ashokan pillar, and the top of that Ashokan pillar was a lion capital. Lion capital, 4 lions, below them Ashokan Chakra, and 4 animals. Okay. Now, this lion capital was found on an Ashokan pillar of not Sanchi, Sarnath. This part is false. Otherwise, the entire statement would have been correct had Sarnath been written over here. So this is false. Now, below the national emblem, in Devanagari script, it's written Satyamev Jayate. Okay, this is Devanagari script in which many Indian languages are written, Hindi included. Okay, Satyameva Jayate. Clear? Now, this phrase Satyameva Jayate is taken from Upanishads, especially Manduka Upanishad. Okay, and Upanishads are part of Vedic literature, not Puranic literature. These are not parts of Puranas. These are Vedic literature. Upanishads are part of Vedic literature. So this part is false. Now, the government of India or the parliament has enacted a law which prohibits unauthorized usage of national emblem. No private person can use national emblem willy-nilly. Okay, there are proper terms and conditions on how national emblem will be used. Okay, there is a law, there are rules published by central government. But if any entity violates those rules, well, that entity or that person can be imprisoned for up to 2 years and fined for up to 5,000 rupees. Okay, or both. Clear? So unauthorized usage of national emblem can attract pecuniary fine, but not imprisonment. No, imprisonment can also be a punishment for this. So this is also false. All statements are incorrect, and the answer is D. And with that, we conclude today's session. Please do not forget to revise this lecture, and by revision, I mean going through the detailed explanations of each and every MCQ discussed above. Now, you can find these explanations in our notes for this lecture, and these notes are shared on our Telegram platform. The link to our Telegram platform is provided in the comment section below this video. You just have to click on that link. It will take you to our Telegram channel, and from there you can download the notes for not just this lecture, but all the other lectures found on our YouTube channel. All right. On that note, I'll be signing off. Thank you so much, everyone.